Hi there, Camille. So you've written another set of essays. Great. Let's look at what you wrote here. It's on weddings. Do the benefits of spending a lot of money outweigh the disadvantages? All right, let's see what you said. Weddings are an extremely special event that require a great deal of planning and money in order to realize. Some believe that it is best to spend a lot of money on weddings, while others believe this to be untrue. In this essay, I will discuss both points of view using true examples to demonstrate points and support arguments. Okay, I think we've talked about this before, maybe not, but it's asking you a very direct question. Do the benefits of this outweigh the disadvantages? You are very right in assuming that you're supposed to talk about both. However, did you actually answer the question? No. You didn't. You just said that you're going to discuss both views. So that means that I'm going to enter your second paragraph, your first body paragraph, without knowing your position. Now, why is this a problem? I'm going to bring up the band descriptors for task 2. Okay, and here they are. These are easily found all throughout the web. Okay, so take a look at this. Task achievement. For band 7, look at the second bullet. Presents a clear position throughout the response. The key word here is throughout. What does throughout mean? It means from the beginning to the end. So your position must be clear from the beginning of your answer to the end of your answer. How do you do that? You do that by answering whatever the question this is in your introduction. Okay? Because if you're going to spend your body paragraphs talking about each view, then the reader will not know what your position is on this issue until they get to the conclusion. And your position will clearly not be clear throughout the response. Okay? Please keep that in mind. So let's move forward. Firstly, spending a large amount of money towards a wedding can lead to serious financial and personal hardships for those involved in the planning. This is because many people spend more money than they can realistically afford in order to realize their fantasy weddings. You don't need a comma here. Okay. However, this can lead to negative consequences such as financial debt and increased levels of stress. This viewpoint was echoed by a report from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, which indicated that, you don't need a comma here, on average, it will take 10 years for newlyweds to repay the debt accrued from their wedding expenditures. Consequently, spending too much money on a wedding can be extremely detrimental to a couple's financial and personal well-being. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Grammar is perfect. The vocabulary is accurate, so well done. I have one concern that we'll talk about when I'm done, okay? Okay, we'll talk about it when I finish. I'm going to think aloud with you, okay, Camille? Let's see what you said in your second body paragraph. Secondly, although there is a case this is a little weird. Let's try it differently. Let's say there is a case for the idea. You see, I know what you're trying to do here. You're trying to put a nice link between the two opposing paragraphs, but grammatically this doesn't work. Okay, so what you could say, let me try it again. I'm thinking aloud. So, although there is a case for spending more money on a wedding, as it can enrich the experience. See, no, it's just too complicated. Okay. So what you could do here instead, again, I'm thinking aloud, so it might not work the first time. Secondly, although, get rid of this, although spending more money for a wedding can enrich the experience by not only permitting, no. You see, what you're doing here is, what the sentence needs to do is it needs to provide a link to the previous paragraph, but also introduce the element of conflict, which you're going to discuss in the second paragraph. So here, look at this. You're talking about guests and aesthetics of the wedding. I don't think you should talk about this because you never really mention anything remotely similar in this paragraph. So what would be better would be if you had said something like, although spending more money for a wedding can enrich the experience as it allows a couple's dreams to come true. Now, why do I think that's more relevant? Because it's basically a synonym for this, to realize their wedding fantasies. Okay? But here, you're all of a sudden introducing these new elements, and they don't belong in this paragraph. They belonged in this paragraph if you had put them there, but here they don't serve you. Okay? They don't really help the development of this paragraph. So I would exclude these, and I would merely rephrase what you wrote up here. Okay, so one must not overstate the lasting impression that a smaller budget wedding can make. One must not overstate. I don't think this is what, I think you mean underestimate. I think this is what you mean here. One must not underestimate the lasting impression that a smaller budget wedding can make. This is largely because many people find that smaller weddings are more personal as opposed to being too lavish and overcrowded. For example, a recent survey from US Weekly indicated that 80% of Australians preferred to attend a smaller wedding mainly because they felt as though they could spend more quality time with their loved ones. Therefore, spending less money and inviting fewer guests to a wedding can make an even bigger difference to your guests than spending too much money. To conclude from the examples and arguments given, I believe the disadvantages of spending too much money for a wedding outweigh the advantages. All right, so let's go through this again, shall we? Let me tell you first of all what I really liked. I really liked your grammar. I really liked your vocabulary. There was just one or two places where things might have gotten a little awkward, but there was nothing too serious. As you could see, I read it really quite naturally, quite easily, and I didn't have any real trouble. Okay, so that means that as far as your lexical resources, your grammatical range and accuracy, and I believe your coherence and cohesion are concerned, you did quite well. What I want to talk to you, though, about is your task achievement. So let's talk about how you developed this essay. You said you will discuss both points of view. Which points of view? You said best to spend a lot of money on weddings, and then no, it's not best to spend a lot of money on weddings. So let's talk about the paragraphs where you actually did that. Here you talked about the negatives of spending a lot of money on weddings, right? So theoretically, here you should be talking about why it's positive to spend a lot of money on weddings, but you did not. Instead, you talked about the positives to spending little money on weddings, which is not what you were supposed to do. Nobody asked you about the positives and negatives of spending small amounts of money on weddings, but they talked about the positives and negatives of spending a lot of money on weddings. Here, it was clearly about the negatives. Serious financial personal hardships. They spend more money than they can afford. Negative consequences. Takes 10 years to repay their wedding expenditures. So it can be detrimental. So it's clearly about the negative aspects. Therefore, according to what you said here in your introduction, this should be about spending a lot of money on weddings. Okay, but it doesn't seem to be that way. It sounds like you're actually saying that, you know what, small weddings are better. But this is not what you were supposed to be talking about, and it's not what you told us you were going to be talking about. And so even though everything is beautifully written and you had a lot of great vocabulary and so forth, the task achievement part of it is wrong, and this is going to affect your score there for that criterion, okay? And you actually didn't talk about the advantages of spending a lot of money on a wedding, at least not in any sort of developed kind of way. You talked about it very peripherally, but not in a kind of extended way. So let's look at your task one. I'll let you think about what I said, and we'll look at your other answer here. Okay, so here it is. School preference, subject preference, sorry. Thank you for including this. It's so helpful to have it here when I correct these. Okay, let's see what you said. These pie charts compare 8 of the most popular school subjects in New South Wales in percentage in 2014 and 17. In 2014, the 2 most popular subjects, geography and maths, had a similar distribution of 27.7 and 27.4 respectively. However, both subjects significantly decreased in 2017 to 18.7 for geography and 12.2 for maths. The least popular subjects in 2014 were history, IT, and chemistry at this, and this, respectively. In 2017, IT results remained roughly consistent with a percentage of 1.4, and chemistry was no longer considered a preferred subject. On the other hand, history demonstrated a rapid increase to 19.4 in 2017. Similarly, biology increased from 13.4 in 2014 to 24.1 in 2017. Meanwhile, 2014 results for physics and PE remained roughly similar in 2017. Overall, most of the subjects in the pie charts were less preferred in 2017, with the exception of physics, IT, and biology, which increased in popularity. Okay, so as you can see, I got through this really quickly. There wasn't much to correct in terms of grammar or vocabulary. It was really quite good. You organized it in a good way. There are a lot of ways to organize this. The way you did it was absolutely fine. So no problems there. It was well organized. The grammar was good. The vocabulary was good. Everything was lovely. Okay? So I really don't have any suggestions to you. I do have one question, though, if I may. Just looking at your answers, I'm wondering how long these take you. That's my first question. And I noticed here that you had your task 2 first and you had your task 1 second. I am also curious if you actually wrote your answers like that. Did you do task 2 first and task first? I can't speak today. Sorry. Let me try that again. Did you do task 2 first and task 1 second? That would be some information I would be interested to learn, and also how long these took you. I'll wait for your reply and then I'll tell you why. Well, actually, I don't need to. I'm curious because if you did it exactly the way it's written here, I'm very interested in the fact that your overview is in that last sentence. Once I get your response, I'll tell you why this concerns me. So now what you need to do is just correct these essays based on this correction, add to your error correction list, and just send back everything to us with your new essays, okay? Great job today, Camille. I'm very pleased. So keep at it. Good job, and good luck with your next set.